And we are live with episode 13 of the Silver Screen Savants. This is we are talking about Next of Kin from 1989. This was your pick this week.
Yep.
Also. Sorry, clearing my throat there. That's what I was trying to do. But you want to get us started with this one?
Sure. Directed by John Irvin, produced by Les Alexander and Don Enright, and starring Patrick Swayze, Adam Baldwin, Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, and Liam Neeson. A lot of big names, but a lot of them were kind of early in their career as well. I think really Patrick was the biggest one at the time because he'd already been doing like Roadhouse and stuff like that at the time. So he was already becoming a big name now. Adam Baldwin would go on to do a great many things, even though he was on like Full Metal Jacket and stuff like that. He was still building up his career. Same with Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, of course. He's in all these early action flicks, Aliens, Terminator, and different stuff like that. But he's obviously still kind of building up his name as well as an actor. So, and then of course Liam Neeson goes on to kind of catch fire much later in his career compared to early on. But yeah, so this story is an American action thriller film, which basically you got Swayze, a former U.S. Army airborne ranger, who has like I guess the way to define is like a redneck family. He's from Appalachia, and they're they're like hunters by the family, trade. It's hunting, so they're very much out in the outdoors. And there's like a scene in the movie we'll get to where the rest of the men in the family are going to Chicago because they have a purpose, and you can see the wives like putting sandwiches in their bags, and then it's like the traditional housewives, like, yep, our sons are going to do some work. Here we go. We got to give them coffee and snacks and all this other stuff to take with them. So it's very much close knit family. But Swayze, who is Detective Truman Gates, he went to Chicago to become a cop. So he's kind of estranged from his family a little bit. He still has a lot of closeness to him, but because he is now what they consider part of the mainstream, as opposed to the family life where they live in the backwoods and whatever, they kind of frown upon it. They don't trust cops. They don't trust the mainstream people at all. But also his brother, one of his brothers, Gerald Gates, played by Paxton, is, he was working in the coal mines, and then that got shut down. So Truman says, well, come to Chicago, you can get a good job there doing stuff. So Gerald goes and gets a truck driving job. But then one night he's driving along with his buddy. I forget the name of the guy he's with that they have to go looking for later, but they're driving along, and some mobsters that are pretty big in that Chicago scene pull them over. And I think they actually run the trucking company that Gerald works for. So basically, one of the main guys, Joey Rossellini, played by Baldwin, is kind of a loose cannon. He's one of Papa John's big right hand men, but he wants to kind of move up in the company and maybe take over someday in Papa John's place. But of course, Papa John has a younger son. Let's see if I can get his Lawrence Rossellini, or Lawrence Isabella, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's played by a young Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller would go on to do a lot of comedy and stuff later in life, but in this particular role, he's actually in a serious matter. But he's kind of like this young, sharp son of Papa John, who Papa John now says, okay, my son's coming into the group now, and he's going to be helping lead the group, which is something that Joey had been doing for a while. So nevertheless, Joey and Lawrence are there, and they end up killing Gerald, shooting him in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, the other guy, let me see if I can figure out what his fucking name was. What is this guy's name? I can't remember.
What are you saying about Gerald? His friend?
Yeah, Gerald's friend. Is it David? Maybe? I think
Jenkins.
Jenkins. Okay, David Jenkins. Okay, that's what it is. So David, he's obviously African American, but he runs, and so he's disappearing. He knows he doesn't want to fuck with mobsters. So obviously, Truman finds out that his brother is dead, and so has to go talk to the family and take the body back. And there's this traditional like meetup when they meet back in Appalachia, and of course, Truman's married to Jessie, who is played by Helen Hunt. So he gets to introduce his wife to them, and again, there's some tension there because they don't trust cops, and they're all of the belief, eye for an eye. You take one of ours, we're going to take one of yours. So they talk to Truman, but Truman's like very much of the law. He's like, let us handle it. We'll find him, we'll prosecute him, we'll put him in jail. Like, he believes in the system. Obviously, his other brother, played by Liam Neeson, Breyer, there's some tension there with Breyer and Truman because Breyer kind of feels like that Truman's betrayed their family by going to Chicago and being part of that mainstream scene. So Breyer's like, well, we want to get it done on our end. We want to take care of this ourselves. And Truman's like, no, it's not a good idea because you're just going to make things worse. But there is a scene there where Breyer's with some of the other family members, older and young, and they're reciting some sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, family saying about eye for an eye and all this. But Truman is kind of upset about this, like, don't do this. So Truman then takes his wife, Jessie, back to Chicago, and he's going to follow up with the investigation, try to dig around, see what's going on. But they're kind of running into roadblocks. Can't really figure out what's going to have some suspects that they're worried about. But I don't know. You hadn't seen this before, right?
Yes. So this was my first time watching this movie. I like how it's a mystery kind of movie. It's like who did it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of those kinds of movies. And I really like that about this film. I feel like this film hit all those numbers in the who did it, who's the perpetrator, who did it, who is the one that we're after.
So again, Breyer, I guess he assists on Breyer ends up going to Chicago as well. So he's going to go search for these guys himself. So, but he meets what is Harold, played by Michael Pollard, who we saw actually in Tango and Cash. So same actor, but different role. So Harold,
I was wondering if that was the same guy.
Yeah. Are you guys holding out on me? So yeah, Harold is running like a nearby hotel, and
actually,
again, very eccentric guy. And so Breyer gets there and he's renting a room, but they kind of build up a friendship. So Breyer's like telling him, if anything happens to me, call this number, tell them that I'm not coming back, and then they'll handle it from there. So you have to cut that on the back burner because that's something comes up later.
Actually,
so go ahead. Sorry.
Next of Kin and this movie came out the same. Next of Kin and Tango and Cash came out the same year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even notice that till just now. And then also it's two movies with Michael Pollard in the same year. Mm-hmm. So that's cool.
Yeah, sometimes that happens where an actor or an actress, because Helen did like a lot of movies in the 80s, and then even in the 90s, she was like Twister and What Women Want, stuff like that. So, or even, I forget the film, we might do it one day, but a Nicolas Cage film she was with, a very good film in that. But whenever you get certain actors, even now we see it in the modern day, the actor catches fire and he's in like a Pedro Pascal, he's almost everything that we see now. So it's kind of how it goes. But so yeah, Breyer rents the room, becomes friendly with Harold, and tells him, like, if anything happens, just give this number a call. So Truman is investigating different parts of the city, talking to some of the mobsters. He knows what they do, but he doesn't have like proof of them killing anybody or anything like that, but he suspects that they're involved in some way, especially since they own the trucking company that Gerald was a part of. In fact, we get a scene where Truman goes to where Papa John works, like some sort of like where they're playing poker and stuff like that, and he's cooking or whatever. I don't know what exactly it is, but he walks in and he's trying to figure out who Papa John is so he can talk to him. They finally have this conversation, but Papa John's like, I have nothing to do with this. Like, I don't know what's going on with this person dying, but I'm not involved. So obviously Truman has like lay back for now because he doesn't have any proof, and it becomes a little frustrating. Then he realizes Breyer's in town because Breyer starts creating a mess because Breyer doesn't care about being nice. He's going to go and shows up and starts pulling shotguns on Joey and some of the other mobsters and starts shooting up their pinball machines and shit. So he's ruffling the feathers because he's just there to find the person that killed his brother, Gerald, and then get some answers. Like he doesn't. The cops are just taking too long to get to where they need to get this solved, and Truman's not able to solve it any faster. So Truman ends up, basically getting in front of Briar, trying to find out what's going on. And they kind of fight a little bit because he's like, "You need to back off. Let me do my job." And Briar's like, "Nope, that's not going to happen." So then he has to take Briar and basically take him to the cell. And, it's more of like just teaching Briar, like, you can't just come into a city and start shooting up the place. That's going to lead to more problems, which, of course, now, since he went and shot up their little lair there at the business, Papa John's upset. So Papa John's like, well, take care of it. You know who it is. But this also leads to some things in the background with Joey and Lawrence, because Joey's upset that Papa John has put Lawrence on top of him. So Lawrence is like taking over his office, and he's kind of just a snotty kid that, just feels like he's entitled. So Joey, he's also thinking in his head, like, how do I get this kid out of my way? Like, he's constantly thinking how, like, not to deal with this kid because he just hates this kid so much. Now, Truman and Briar, they both have a little bit of information about.
Hi, Jedi.
Hey, there's Jedi. What's going on, my friend? So Truman, he and Briar are cross-referencing their information, because at this point, Truman's like, if you want to help me solve this, then you're going to have to do it. If you don't, then I'm going to put you back in the cell. And this is actually a very good performance by Liam. He plays the redneck pretty good, and he's kind of a hard ass. And it's like, all right, reluctantly will help his brother. So they figure they got to find Jenkins. They got to find the guy that was friends with Gerald and was there the night that he was shot, because that's the only way they need an eyewitness to what's going on. They know that David's out there somewhere. So they go to where David supposedly hangs out, as like a all black bar, jazz bar. And it's always, these bars always turn out the same. You got a couple of white dudes that walk in because they just know that it's going to be fucking trouble.
Froze for a second there.
Yeah, so they're at the bar and they tell the girl, like, we're looking to talk to David Jenkins if we can. And she's whispering to other guys inside the bar, and all of a sudden, like, pulls a gun. And a fight breaks out because, again, Briar is not one to just let someone point a gun at him. So he starts fighting with them, and all of a sudden they have a ton of guns on them. And Truman's like, look, we just want to talk to David. We don't want any other trouble. And eventually David shows up. He's there at the bar, and he says, I'll talk to you. Because they know, they announced who they were, Gerald's brothers and whatnot. So they start talking outside. And they show some pictures, of course, of the mobsters that they think are involved. And that's when David's like, yeah, those are the guys. And this guy were in the back of the truck with Gerald. So now they have confirmation. But the difference is, again, Truman wants to do this by the book. So it means going to the police station the next morning, but he leaves Briar at the house, and Briar wakes up and is all pissed and thinks the worst. He's like, oh no, he's trying to go solve this on his own without me there. That's not happening. So Briar takes off, and now it's going to lead to bigger problems. Now, during this, of course, soon after, because obviously Truman's been harassing the mobsters at will, so Joey gets the address of Truman and walks up to his wife, Jessie, and throws some like red paint on her. It's basically to insinuate that they're going to probably kill her or make Truman uneasy about fucking around with the mob. So obviously Truman gets back home and he's talking to her, and that great performances by Helen Hunt. Obviously, in fact, I was thinking about today, there's a scene earlier before this where she's waiting at home for him. And I always loved Helen as an actress, but there's a scene there, and you can always tell when chemistry works between actors, because she's basically telling Truman she's pregnant, like they're going to have a kid. And so she does this kiss with him and kind of puts her leg around him a little bit. Which I thought that's so natural because it's a believable relationship between two people. And that's not always easy to convey on film. That's one thing that I can really appreciate about Swayze and Helen Hunt in this movie. So sometimes I've watched actors and actresses on screen. It doesn't feel natural. It just feels kind of forced. So whenever you see legitimate actors making you believe that they're actually a couple is an amazing thing. How do you feel about where we're at in the story with this so far in the movie?
So you're saying where we're introduced to his wife and the family?
Yeah, like how she got paint thrown on her, and
okay. So I think the paint is interesting because to me, I feel like it was blood, but that's just my perspective. Could be it's that colorish stuff.
Yeah.
I do feel though that it's kind of like a little setup, where I don't know why. I'm assuming to me when I see the scene played out, I'm thinking that the Ben Stiller's character's blood or something. That's just what I'm picturing in my head. But no, I get what you're about the paint and stuff, though. I don't know why that's. I guess it's a setup or something. That's just my perspective, though. Also, but I mean, it could be anything for all we know why they did it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was just basically to invoke fear into the wife, Jesse, and then also send a message to Truman, like, look, we can get to your wife. Don't fuck with us. Back off. And of course, this pisses off Truman more. You don't really want to piss off this guy when you start fucking with his pregnant wife.
I do like one thing I do like is how they introduce the family in this movie. Like,
yes.
You go to the compound where the family's at, because from the train scene where they get off to where they are introduced to every one of them and they say his name. And Liam Neeson is the only recognizable cast of the family, but I don't know if there's any other big names in those roles with the family members. But I think that scene was interesting. I also think there's a shot in the scene where Liam Neeson has the second shotgun, not the first one that he got from whoever. I don't know if they say that
when he went to the bar and took it.
Yeah, a second shotgun, and they're in the warehouse. And I like the scene where Neeson has the shotgun, and this is right before his character's death in the movie, and he shoots the guy straight through the glass. I'm like, how the heck do you pull something off like that? That's a cool kill for this movie to me. I do like also how he shows the younger generation of his family how to shoot the bow also. It's like, what's if you in the future, are going to have to defend your own family? You got to learn how to defend. You got to learn how to kill. You got to do all that stuff. I mean, I really like these tidbits, the stuff, the details are on point for this movie. This movie, to me, feels real good. I mean, it's fresh, it's cool, it's unique. I mean, the only I'll talk more when we score it about why. But go ahead, what you were saying last.
So back to the warehouse, because that's really what comes up next, because Breyer feels like that Truman is leaving him out of the arrest. Like, he's like, oh no, we have the evidence, but Breyer feels like he needs to be there. So he goes on his own to the warehouse and he gets into a shootout with Joey and arrests him, which was kind of a trap. They wanted to lure him there. So he's in there shooting. He got a couple of guys he killed, but there's this moment again. Adam Baldwin's like a really good villain here. Says sleepy time Gates, and shoots him a couple of times and shoots Breyer to where he's pretty much going to die there on the floor. And obviously Truman's on his way there because he got word from Jesse that, Breyer had left without him. So he arrives and there's cops there, and you know he goes up to see Briar, and Briar's last breath is basically like, "I should have waited for you. We could have kicked their asses together." Yeah, but he ends up dying, and of course this really upsets Truman because now he's lost two brothers, and you know this is the funny thing about this film, which you know is that Truman really kind of believes in the law and the system that he works for, but he kind of got a rude awakening that it's not always as easy, especially when you're a mobster and you can kind of hide from it with corruption and everything else. So he basically tells I think it's his sergeant or whoever he works for, and he's like, he gives him his badge, he's like, I'm done, you know, screw this. And now his goal is to, of course, find Joey and them because he knows who did it, and he's going to kill them. Like he's going to go back old school. And you said it. This family of the Gates family, they use a lot of bows, different types of bows, crossbows, big bows. There's one part of the family which I thought was so funny. He drives a bus and he has all these snakes that he keeps in there.
Yeah.
And as the family was packing, because once they get word that Briar's dead, that's when Harold makes that call and says, "Yeah, as a friend of your brother's, told me to call you if anything happened to him," which was basically code like, "Come finish the job." So the brothers are all packing up, and of course the guy that drives the bus, he's like, "Anybody want to ride with me?" And everyone's like, "Nope, we good." Nobody wants to go in the bus with all the snakes. So I thought that was a kind of funny scene. But that dude loves his snakes, man. And they actually end up showing up to the hotel where Harold works because they're like, that's the address that Briar probably gave them. And you got this big group of guys that show up, and Harold's like, "Hey, what's going on?" He ends up tagging along in the bus with bus guy. But while they're all doing that, Truman takes it upon himself to basically go and he's gonna fight these guys. He tells Joey, like, after he throws a guy through the window, who I might add, I have to remember who this guy's name is, so hold on. Give me a second.
While you're doing that.
So Paul Greco, he's one of the mobster guys that hangs with Joey.
Is that the one with the eyes?
Yes. He was in the Warriors. He was the leader of the Orphans.
I've seen snippets of the Warriors. I haven't seen the movie in full, but I know the Warriors decently.
Yeah. It's what you get, Warriors, when you mess with the Orphans. That's him. So it's always fun seeing him in different roles, even though I love him from the Warriors.
I was going to say there, other than Briar Gates, who's Liam Neeson, Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, one of the Gates family members, Selkirk Gates, he is from the FX show Nip Tuck.
Oh, is this Richard Wood?
Miami. The Mentalist. He's in a movie called Seven Psychopaths, and he's also in the film from 1986, Running Scared. So
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of names because you have Ted Levine. He played Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. That's a huge role for him. Great actor. So yeah, I mean this whole roster is like full of big time. Even Papa John, Andreas Catuzza, he's been in a lot of stuff over the years. This is the
only movie I've seen him in, so I don't.
Yeah, he's always playing a pretty shady dude, character-wise. But yeah, so Truman's basically throws what's his face, Snake Eyes. We'll just call him Snake Eyes through the window, and that sends a message to Joey that he wants to fight, and he's going to bring him to the cemetery. And so he's out there, but he's pretty kind of outmatched. They've got at least 6 to 8 guys that are out there looking for Truman, but he's using his arrows. He's doing pretty good for a little while until he gets shot in the leg. But then he soon realizes, and this is the cool thing about this family, is because they are in the backwoods and they're hunters, they know like how to communicate with one another through animal calls. So they mimic these animal calls, whether it's an owl or some other sort of critter. So when he starts hearing these calls, he automatically knows that his family has come to help him out. So obviously they get together and he says like, well, this is what we're going to do. And they start methodically trying to, take out the mobsters in the cemetery. Now, there's also a side thing here. So doubling back a little bit, when Breyer first attacked the mob in there when he was destroying the pinball machines, this was the opportunity Joey wanted to get rid of Lawrence. And so what he was going to do was Truman had confronted Lawrence about what happened in the back of the truck after Jenkins identified him. Mm-hmm. And Lawrence doesn't have the posture or ability to play poker face with Truman. So he's like, I didn't do it. And it's basically he's really panicking now. And he told Joey that, Truman had visited him and tried to talk to him. So Joey's like, well, I can't trust this kid. He doesn't want to get turned in. And it seems like to me, too, like this is something I always never really knew totally, but I'm pretty sure that Papa John did not know he killed that Gerald guy in the back. Like, I don't think he actually knew that. I think that's something Joey did on his own. But Joey decides, well, we're going to use the fact that Breyer's been hunting us to go and kill Lawrence. So they make it look like Breyer killed Lawrence and they burned his body. And Papa John is like beside himself. He's upset and angry. And now he wants revenge. He doesn't like, he has an assistant that says, well, let's just get the cops to wrangle up Breyer and whoever. And he's like, no, we're going to take care of this ourselves. But that leads us back to the cemetery. So obviously Joey had been talking and bragging to some of his guys about killing Lawrence. Like that's just how pompous and arrogant that he is. So that one guy who was basically told to report if Joey starts bragging about it does. He says, hey, yeah, Joey's been talking. One of those Italian things, right? So as they're chasing Truman around in the cemetery, Papa John and his crew show up. And they kind of get where there's a point where Truman's about ready to choke out Joey. Like he's got him dead to rights. Papa John shows up. He says, let him go. And they're going to use one of Truman's brothers, who is at gunpoint, as bait to say, just back off, or we're going to kill this guy. So Truman backs off, and, he figures they're pretty much fucked. They think it's over. Mm-hmm. And so Papa John says, well, back away, Joey. And so Joey does. And so Papa John's like, well, we're going to end this. We're just done. This is done. And he turns to Joey, and Joey doesn't realize that Papa John knows that he killed his son. So he shoots him dead. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of fast. I would have figured Daddy would have did a little more torturing with Joey than that. But he shoots him dead, lets Truman and his brother go, and basically says, our beef is done. We should be done. Truman's like, yep, we're good. Everything's done. And that's pretty much how it ends. I mean, you get a little happy ending with Jesse, and he quits the police force, obviously, and he's done. Wants to raise his family with Jesse, and she's very happy with that. It's not the longest movie in the world. It's only 108 minutes, but it gets from point A to B pretty quickly. Doesn't waste a lot of time. Had a budget of $12 million. Only made about 15, so I don't know if the promotion was bad when it came out or not, but either way, certainly should have made more, I felt like. I mean, it's not the most perfect movie, like I said, but it's also pretty decent. It has a nice cast, great acting in it. I was always quite happy with it when I saw it. What are your thoughts on the entire film yourself?
Um, I think this film was pretty good. It's one of those films. It's one of those films you only see once in your lifetime, in a sense. Because I just think it's made for one of those movie type role films where it's like you've seen these style of movies before, in a sense, with other filmographies. So, I noticed that. I do think I like the cast choices they have for this movie also, because they've got a lot of interesting, different dynamics. And the cast, like you said, the cast gels pretty well. I think some of the kills were pretty cool also. And you know, this movie doesn't have a lot of them, like other movies, if you notice. They don't have as many as like James Bond, Rambo's, all those, just to give an example of what I'm saying, or Batman or other stuff like that. But I do think the cast gels well together also. So, I mean, I think I kind of like that country style when they started in the beginning with the soundtrack to this movie was pretty good also. I enjoyed that. I didn't know that it was by a lot of bands and people that did the music. I thought it was just, there's just one composer for this film. And that's to me, like, I'm like, there's different bands like Rodney Carroll and all these different metal bands, I think, or one was, and all these old, even Patrick Swayze got into the credits of the soundtrack, and I didn't even know he was a musician.
Well, yeah, he was a dancer. He was a dancer. He and his wife were dancers in real life, and they actually did a movie together as well. So
was that Dirty Dancing?
No, it's One Last Dance. And yes, I got information from my wife next to me. That's because she knows more than me. Yeah, she's all about Swayze.
When you were talking about, when you were talking about the Helen Hunt and the
Paxton.
You said Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton were together?
Well, they did movie Twister together, so they did show.
Or were you talking about that one with Nick Cage and Helen Hunt?
Yeah.
I know what it was. I just had it up a second ago.
It's a great fucking movie that haven't
you
really
seen. You were talking about Kiss of Death.
Yep. It's a role to very pumped up Nicolas Cage too. He's buff in that one. So, but that's an incredibly great movie with her in it.
I do like the setting. How at first I think it starts in Chicago, like a roughneck kind of Chicago in a sense, and then it goes from Chicago to some country area. It's Kentucky apparently, for where the funeral and stuff is. So I like the sceneries for this film. I like how, it's like I thought when I'm watching this movie, me personally, I thought that Liam Neeson killed Joey. Not Joey, Ben Stiller's character.
Oh, Lawrence. Yeah.
Lawrence. So that got me. And I'm just thinking now, this might have been the role that probably propelled Neeson into the Taken series, because I don't know how many years after is the Taken series after, but I would assume
it was 2009, I think, the first one.
But I think that would be, I'm sure it has, something just like that,
Well, he'd done some like random roles like early on. Like that's always a funny thing. Like he was in Kroll, like a side role in that one as well. So he had done some smaller roles. I think it wasn't until, and I'm probably just spitballing here, but maybe Schindler's List when Liam Neeson. Well, no, I'm just saying. I think when he became famous,
93.
For what, Schindler's?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Next of Kin is 89, so about a couple years after. I think that was, in fact, his first role where he's the main character.
Yeah, I think so. Schindler's List was a huge book, so like it was a big time thing. I never watched it, but
you've never seen it?
No, I know it's very depressing, so I don't watch a lot of depressing films. But it did win Oscars, I think.
I've only seen it once, and you are 100% right on the money when you say it's depressing. It really is.
Did you hear her?
No.
She said her first experience with Liam Neeson was Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
No, I'm lying. I forgot. He was in something like in the 80s that I used to love.
Kroll.
Maybe.
Or Next to Ken, like, because he was with Swayze. You saw Roadhouse, which is around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta check out. I hope Roadhouse is somewhere on your list.
Huh?
I said I hope Roadhouse is somewhere on the movie list.
Roadhouse is like
it always will be.
One.
But if we do it, we're gonna do it without her. I'm not having her slobber all over that guy while we're doing that review.
I don't about Roadhouse.
She thinks she does, but the only thing she ever tells me, we used to pause it when he's jumping in the lake and he's got his balls hanging. That's what she says.
No. Ripping the guy's throat.
Oh, now she acts like she's cool.
Roadhouse 857 times.
857, really?
Do you want my out of score for Next of Kin, though? Is that what you were waiting for? Also.
So this is the thing that's always funny about movies, though, is like who sometimes were thought about doing roles. So like for Joey, for Adam Baldwin's character, his brother Alec Baldwin was considered. See, Robert De Niro was considered.
Actual brother.
Yeah, actual brother. Yep. He has like 3 or 4. Stephen Baldwin. There's a ton of them. John Malkovich, Jack Nicholson was considered. Ron Perlman was considered as Joey Roslin. That would have been interesting. And then for Truman, and some of these, again, I understand at the time, maybe like Dolph Lundgren was considered, Van Damme, Stallone, and Schwarzenegger. But they were big names at the time, so I understood it. Kurt Russell, Bruce Willis was considered.
I would have put, the one guy, I would have put the Don, so that would be Papa John. I would have put Stallone in that role.
For Papa John?
He just sounds like one of those kind of style New York.
Yeah, but I don't know, because Stallone doesn't do many villainous roles, and especially at that time when he was considered like more of a heroic character like Rambo and Rocky. So I think that would have gone.
Cobra probably also.
Because he did do the movie "Don't Shoot or My Mom Will," or what was it? "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot" or something. And that was him trying to branch out, and that didn't go very well.
Would you see the one guy from Home Alone, and I'm not talking about Daniel Stern, I'm talking about the old Harry.
Pesci?
Yeah, Pesci as in this.
I think Pesci would have been good as Joey, because obviously Pesci knows how to do villainous roles, like especially from like Goodfellas and stuff like that. So
never seen Goodfellas, but I have seen Home Alone. So
you're giving her a heart attack, man. Wait, have you seen Casino?
Oh.
You need to
You're so deprived. You're so deprived, my friend. You're so deprived.
No.
I mean, I feel like Goodfellas is like.
Goodfellas is like it's one that everyone should see. Has some
best role ever.
Yeah.
And it's based off a true story.
Yeah.
Did you see Stern in the role of Joey?
Huh?
Daniel Stern in the role of Joey?
No. Funny thing about Stern is he would have been a good Briar, maybe. Like I could see him in Liam's role. He has that look of like a redneck type of dude. But he's kind of aloof too. Like it's hard to say. Like Pesci's funny, but then when you see him in like roles like Goodfellas and stuff like that, like he can scare you.
He was in that one role. He was in that one movie that came out on Netflix, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was
Maybe
like
that's the next one I'll pick. Did you ever see The Outsiders?
Oh,
okay.
Oh, that's another Swayze.
That's a lot of them back then too.
But there was a one, I think he was a Don in one of the Netflix movies that came out a couple of years. And it was like 3 hours long, and it had De Niro in it also. And I can't think.
Yeah, it was something. It was a Scorsese that did it.
Scorsese.
The Irishman. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But if you want my review score of this movie, right?
Well, yeah, give me your final thoughts and then just give me your rating.
So I kind of basically given my final thoughts of everything I said. I think it's probably an 8 out of 10.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I do like this film a lot still. But it's one I do watch every once in a while because it doesn't hit you as hard, say like Roadhouse or something else, or even, God forbid, Tu Wong Fu. It doesn't hit quite as much as that, but I still get probably like a 9, so we're close on it. I still like it a lot just because I think that the acting is just phenomenal. And Helen Hunt, like I said, the chemistry between her and Swayze is very believable. Like I always appreciate actors that sell romance in that setting to where it's believable. Like I like good chemistry on set. So that makes me very happy about that. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. I'm very glad you did enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what your pick is for next week?
you got me.
Don't you dare hit me with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang again.
That was, we've already covered that, so don't worry. No.
Crazy.
Let me get a picture of it because it'll be easier.
So while you're doing that, I'll just say tomorrow, Neko and I had to move our ballerina review because she was lazy today. So
yeah, she's probably giving you trouble about it.
She's giving me this death stare. But no, we're gonna take care of that tomorrow. I really enjoyed my time. I think she enjoyed it too, but she had some problems that I can kind of understand.
You're gonna hate me when I say I've never seen any of the Wick movies yet.
Ugh. You're crushing my soul. But I'm also kicking off my What If series, and the first one we're tackling is the Scream franchise. So I'll probably be just opening it up to anybody who wants to join in. I know some certain people want to come in and talk about it. I have scenarios that I want to talk about with the What If. I also have like a shit ton of movies, even some that Neko suggested for the What If series. So she mentioned Karate Kid down the road, like some things that she brought up that have been very interesting. So those are things that are on the pipeline for that particular series. And then Wednesday, the 11th, Lambert and I are going to be doing the next Cinematic Synergy, where we're going to be reviewing The Illusionist, 2006, with Edward Norton and Jessica Biel. And then I guess I'll let the other guys announce their own shows, but Lambert's got another retro movie where he's doing the Karate Kid special. We're going to review the first 4 films, even though I did go see Legends with Nick earlier in the week. And then Saturday, Anthony Jordan is going to be doing his review of Jaws, 50th anniversary of Jaws. So that's going to be
our next one be on Saturday.
Yep. But his is like at 3:00 in the afternoon, so it'll be much later.
Our next one, we'll probably have to do a watch party since you probably don't own it. So just saying. Unless you do.
I might. Never know.
Here we go. Okay.
Wait, what's the next movie?
He's trying to put it up.
I want to know.
I think we're going with. Oh, wait.
Oh, what's up, Big Bad Wolf?
Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie, that's funny. He's a funny guy.
I love Bert and Ernie.
Now the question is, which one's Bert and which one's Ernie?
Well, you're definitely Ernie.
I'm thinking, where did I save it? Other. Okay. Here we go. I'm going with this one next time.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Okay. That's his favorite Bond.
Do you want me to say why?
Save it for next week.
No. Yeah, you can tell me why when we do it.
Okay. Oh my gosh, we're getting views. Like a lot of people are coming in now.
Towards the end, of course.
Yeah. So this is the most recent pickup. This is
his favorite Bond movie. Yeah.
Jacob
So you got a Gremlin figurine of Stripe. You're like in the dark. You need like light.
I need a ring light. That's what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Lighting is bad in this room. I only have the overhead light up above. I have terrible light.
It's like Oven likes being in the shadows. Can't see me.
Bert and Ernie, though, seriously. Where have you been? I haven't seen you on my channel in a while, actually. I think you've been hiding in the closet again, Little Wolf.
Little Wolf. Yeah, Little Wolf. That's
Little
right.
Wolf, Little Wolf, Little Wolf.
All right. Well, I think that's about it.
I do think we don't have anything this week. In fact, I need to set up the interview with Linda. I have to message her. I've been so crazily busy.
I know how it goes, man.
I have to do that. I'm gonna try and get. I might. You know what? I'm gonna send a message out to the one guy to set up for October also for. Why'd you put my name on? Oh, on stream.
Sorry, but you're the one in the closet. The way you emerged from the shadows.
All good.
He's a goober.
Yeah.
Be a goober.
But
Big Bad Wolf.
Big Bad
he's
Wolf.
a goober. He's an uber goober. But actually, I was wrong about how old Gears of War was this year. I thought it was 820. It's 19 this year. So I might just save that for next year, the tribute thing, because it's kind of a big anniversary when a thing or movie, whatever, turns 20. And he is
I'm what Gojira calls the instigator. Yeah, that's very true. That is fucking very true.
Yeah, we could go with, I don't know where my thoughts are with what our next Kong movie. I've never seen Escapes, so it'll be a first for me, actually.
Yeah, we talked about that not too long ago on Kevin's channel.
We did on our channel. I did give you a shout out, and I said you might like a movie that we plan to cover on Tokusatsu Action Land. I'm sure it's probably a movie you've never seen. I've never seen it. It's called if I can open, it was called The Deadly Mantis.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
It's kind of like a practical. It's a puppet that the mantis is. So that'll be something after we cover the Godzillas for sure. And then another option is The Blob.
Oh, The Blob. Which one?
The original, I think.
Oh. The original is good, but we should really do the '80s movie, the '80s remake.
I've seen
It's-
both.
I
And
have.
you know what's funny? I've never seen the sequel to The Blob.
I think I did by accident,
Oh,
but yeah, I don't mind the Blood. The Blood's actually really good.
while I'm thinking of it, I got to put together the thumbnails for the show of Gojira. Yeah. And I think, yeah, I got to do that. If we're gonna do the Max, which is our supposed pick, I don't. he wants to, give more time to research it and stuff. If we're gonna do it, so I am also trying to find a new co-host because you know why I told you on message.
Yeah.
Nothing bad, nothing against anybody. So that's open. Also, I've been streaming Assassin's Creed Origins on the channel, so parts 7 and 8 are out live. I've been doing that. I'm kind of doing Origins as the lead up into Gears of War coming out in August because Gears of War will be out in August. We should have supposedly tomorrow at the Xbox Showcase. There should be more details about it. So if anybody's curious, they are streaming that tomorrow on YouTube live because right now they've got the Summer Games Fest and then the other thing is the Future Game Show they just had today. So there's a lot of gaming news and stuff going around in case anybody's curious.
Yeah, John mentioned I should have tried to react to the streaming yesterday, but we were out doing other things, unfortunately, because they talked about a lot of games that were coming out in the summer and stuff, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. But that's how it is. I mean, I try to keep up as well as I can with the gaming stuff, but
I'm the same way.
I might actually start replaying Expedition 33. I love that game so much, but haven't decided because I know Diablo 4 is doing their new season soon, so I'm not sure which one to jump with.
I do want to eventually start another series besides Assassin's Creed on the channel for gaming. So I'm kind of like, I've got Sonic maybe that I want to do that I've never done, and that's the not Generations, but the one that was the 3D, like the big open world one that just came. I got ideas, so
yeah.
Other than that, that's all I've got. So, but this has been the Silver Screen Savants, episode 13. Next Saturday at 7 p.m. will be episode 14. Wow, we're almost doubled, almost to 20.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I know I don't think. Do you own Majesty?
No, but I don't think it's hard to find. I think I'll be able to find it online.
I don't think it's on archive also. I've tried.
If it's not, then I'll have to figure out a way to do
Watch
it.
Party. That works.
If
also.
not, you can send it to me through email or something too, if that works.
I don't
if you can rip it, I don't know if you can or not, but
I don't think
we'll figure it out. Shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, but anyways, this has been Silver Screen Savants, episode 13, and you'll catch Anubis on his channel probably with content this week, and you'll probably catch. I might be doing some videos other than Oh, before we go, I just saw this comment from Jedi.
Yeah, it's not quite as polished as Roadhouse, but Next to Kin is pretty decent. I'd still recommend it for people to check out.
Do you have a pick for your next one selected, or do you want to wait on that?
I'll wait. I don't really know yet where I'm going with that one.
Okay.
I might even continue more. Well, I might be outside, but I might continue more Bond too, because I know we want to try to get through the bonds because I know you and me and Jedi want to do our rankings eventually for that. So obviously we got to get through them and kind of revisit them and stuff like that. So
Oh, as
hopefully we can achieve that before the end of the year.
we can. I mean, and then October on this channel, I want to do. The plan is to do all horror, keep horror alive. Do horror movies, slashers, all that fun. I'm a big slasher fan, by the way. In case
That should be easy because you probably haven't seen half of them. So
I like my zombies. I like my Friday the 13th, the Texas Chainsaw, all those funs. But we will catch you on episode 14 on next Saturday. But until then,
later.
bye.
Bye.